Hi everybody, welcome to my first YouTube video. This YouTube video is going to be about my story of how I was 17 and pregnant. So I found out I was pregnant the day before Easter of 2016. Before I had gotten pregnant with my now husband, we had been talking for maybe almost about a year, maybe a little less than a year, about having a baby. My husband had decided that he wanted to join the United States Air Force. And he said that he wanted a baby and that he wanted to get married and he wanted to have a family and just start his life, meaning that my husband is actually about 3 years older than I am. So I said, okay, yeah, let's have a baby, let's get married. Ever since I was a little girl, that's all I ever dreamed about, was getting married and having a baby. So of course we did. I stopped going to get my birth control shot. I was on the Depo-Provera shot. I had been on the shot for a little over a year. I stopped. I was supposed to go back in February of 2016 to get my shot again. Of course, I didn't go get it. I honestly didn't think I was gonna get pregnant so fast. And honestly, I didn't think I was pregnant. My menstrual cycle wasn't so accurate anymore just due to being on the Depo-Provera shot. And so I didn't think anything of it when I didn't get my menstrual cycle. And I was just like, no, and I didn't really have any symptoms or anything. I didn't have morning sickness or anything like that. The only thing I did notice is that I got tired very quickly with just regular activities that I would do, like especially when I was working at Burger King at the time. And standing on your feet for 8-9 hours a day, and I'd be good after I get off work, of course, just the typical little tired. But before I found out I was pregnant, I would come home super exhausted. So, but it still didn't dawn on me that there was a possibility that I could be pregnant, until the ladies that I was working with at work, they kept telling me that something was different about me, that I had a glow, and that my eyes said that I was pregnant. So I was like, okay, that's, so I was just like, that kind of doesn't make sense to me. So one of the ladies that I had gotten really close with there, she was like, you need to take a pregnancy test. She's like, you're pregnant. Your eyes are telling me that you're pregnant. So I was like, okay, just whatever. I'm going to go home and take a test after work. So I ended up getting paid, I think, a few days before that. So I was like, okay, let me go buy a pregnancy test. I went to the store, bought a clear blue pregnancy test with a week's estimator on it. Went home, took the test, and oh my god, as soon as I peed on that thing, I looked at it, boom, popped up, pregnant. I was like, oh my goodness. I was in complete shock. Part of me knew, but another part of me was like, there's no way. And then the weeks estimator thing popped up and said 3+. So I was like, okay. I looked at the box, and when it said 3+, that estimated that you were about 5 to 6, I don't remember how many weeks along. So when I started doing the math, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm about a month and a half pregnant. So after I, composed myself and all my thoughts and everything, I called my husband and was like, I'm pregnant. And it always makes me laugh. He was like, I know. He's like, but don't worry about it. Just, stay calm. We'll figure this out. I'll be able to provide for you and the baby. And that wasn't my worry. My biggest worry wasn't about being able for him to provide for me and our baby. My biggest worry was about telling our parents. My biggest fear all the time was being a teen mom, but obviously that didn't stop me, because my mother was a teen mom, and she always, told us, I'm the second oldest child, but I'm the oldest girl. So my mom always told us, she never wanted us to become teen moms. She didn't want us to go through the struggle that she went through of being a teen mom. But, obviously kids don't listen. And of course I didn't listen. And I ended up getting pregnant. He was also on his way home from work when I had told him. So of course he got there and he was excited, and I was excited too, kind of. I was excited, but I was upset at the same time, just because I was going to disappoint my mom. I know I was going to disappoint my mom. And we talked about when we were going to tell our parents, just because when I found out that I was pregnant, March, a month and a half later, my husband was going to be going to what they call MEPS, and that's when he was going to be sent off to boot camp for the Air Force, and I would have really no contact with him for 8 weeks, I believe it was. Yeah, about 8 or 9 weeks I wasn't going to have any contact with him, just besides through sending him letters. And we just kept kind of going around the conversation. We never said exactly when we were going to tell our parents. But, yeah, we didn't, like I said, we never really came on when we were going to tell my parents or his parents. And he left to boot camp, so I was, by myself, still continuing to go to school, finishing my senior year, also going to work, taking care of all the things that I had to take care of. And my mom was always asking me, have you gotten your period yet? Are you, you usually tell me when you get your period, and you haven't told me or anything. And I'm like, oh yeah, I got it. I just haven't done anything. I just didn't tell you, I've been so busy and just so stressed out or whatever. And, she was kind of catching on to it. Obviously, mothers know, and of course, right away, my mom knew. She always kept telling me that I was getting really, really chunky, and that something was different about me. And oh my goodness, I was so emotional. I literally cried for every little thing. Just not even like the little tears, like I was bawling for every little thing. So, she was just like, you're pregnant. She was like, Stephanie, are you pregnant? You better tell me if you're pregnant. And I'm like, oh my God, no, I'm not pregnant. I kept trying to hide it for as long as I can. And she was just always constantly on me. If you're pregnant, you need to tell me. You just need to tell me if you're pregnant. I kept denying it, of course, because I didn't want to have to be the one to tell her by myself that, yes, I was pregnant. My husband was going to graduate boot camp in July, so I was like, in our letters we were writing each other, I was like, when you graduate, since all our family is going to be together, we need to tell them that, we're expecting a baby. Mind you, all this time that I was pregnant, I wasn't going to the doctor. I didn't go to the doctor. I didn't go get the ultrasounds, or, I wasn't taking prenatal vitamins. So I really didn't know if my baby was doing okay, but nothing seemed wrong, so it kind of didn't worry me so much. So of course, graduation comes around for boot camp. We go. Still, we didn't tell my parents or his parents, but we did go and get married. Um, After he graduated, we went and got married. Of course, it was last minute, so I was in shorts and some red Toms and a red V-neck. And of course, you could see my belly already. Even though I still kept trying to hide it, you can see my belly. And my brother-in-law went and asked my mom too, is Stephanie pregnant? You know, she looks like she's pregnant. Everybody kept asking if I was pregnant. My belly button was already poking out because that was my baby's favorite spot to lay. She literally laid right in front of my belly button. So, you know, everybody, she was like, Stephanie, you better tell me, goddammit, if you're pregnant right now. And I was just like, no, I'm not pregnant. And me and my sister had went to go get some snacks. She's like, Stephanie, are you pregnant? If you're pregnant, you can tell me. And I was like, yes, I am pregnant. And she's like, why don't you just tell mom? And I was like, because, you know, I'm gonna disappoint her, and she's always told us that, you know, she didn't want us to get pregnant and be teen moms. And my sister was like, you just need to tell her there's nothing that we can do now. You know, you look like you're about 5-6 months along. Honestly, I didn't know how far along I was. So I was like, okay. We left back to Houston after his graduation and all that, because he had to stay in San Antonio to finish tech school. So we go back, and my mom, of course, keeps asking me. I didn't tell her again till about a week or so after we came back to Houston. She was asking me, she's like, Stephanie, if you're pregnant, you know, you can just tell me. I already know you're pregnant. Still, I denied it. And then just my sister-in-law and my sister was like, come on, just tell mom, you know, we'll go with you, and, you know, we'll calm her down if she's, you know, like upset or something. And so I waited till my mom went in the restroom, and I was like, hey mom, and she was like, what? And I was like, you remember when you asked me if I was pregnant? I was like, well, yeah, I'm pregnant. And she kind of stayed quiet for like a minute, and she was like, I know, Stephanie. She's like, I've known for a very long time that you were pregnant. She's like, I was just waiting for you to come and tell me yourself. And she's like, I'm getting emotional. And she was like, why didn't you tell me? And I told her, because I was scared to tell you, because I knew you were going to be disappointed. And she told me, she's like, well, ooh. And she was like, I am disappointed. She's like, but there's nothing that we can do, you know. She's like, I always told you I never wanted you to go down this road, but I mean, you're pregnant now. And she's like, I could have waited for another grandbaby, because my brother had already had his son. He was also a teen parent, very young, and then he also had another baby on the way. He had just had her in May. The day I graduated high school, my niece was born. So she's like, I could have waited for another grandbaby. You know, I wanted you to go to college and to grad. She's like, you did graduate, and you know, all that. And I was like, well, does. But I was like, I'm married, mom. I was like, I'm married, and yes, I am pregnant, and I'm still gonna go to college, even though it's gonna be hard than, you know, any other regular student who just goes to college right out of high school. I was like, but I'm still gonna pursue my dreams. I still have those goals, and it's even more important that I'm gonna be a mom, that I stick to those goals, so my daughter can have more of a better life than we did, and she can have all the things that she wants. I said daughter, but at the time I didn't know, and she had asked me if I've gone to the hospital. I told her no, and she was like, do you even know how far along you are? And I was like, well, I think I'm about 5 or 6 months. And she was like, Stephanie, you know, doctors don't take you after a certain amount of months. So we called our OB the next day to see if she could take me, and she was like, well, let's get her in for an ultrasound. So I went to go get an ultrasound, and when they took the ultrasound, I was about 7 months pregnant. And that came as a shock to me, and I was just like, oh my goodness, and I could see my baby already, and she was big and everything. So of course they're trying to figure out what she is, if she was a boy or girl, because I didn't know what I was having. And my mom was like, you're gonna, we need another boy, come on, no girls. And I was like, whenever I took that test, for me, I always knew that I was pregnant with the little girl. Just for some reason, I knew. And everybody's like, no, 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 your belly looks like you're having a boy. And I was just like, no, I know I'm having a girl. So of course we had already picked out the names for if I was having a boy or if I was having a girl. And my baby was so stubborn. She just kept moving around everywhere. It literally looked like she was doing somersaults inside my belly. Finally, she opened her legs because she had them crossed, and she had her feet in the way. So she had opened her legs, and boop, pops up. And of course the ultrasound tech, she takes a picture, and she's like, the words pop up, it's a girl. And my mom was like, no. She's like, not another girl. And my grandma had told her too. She's like, Melly, she's gonna have a girl, I already know it. And so I told my mom, I looked at her, I was like, I told you I was gonna have a girl. I knew I was pregnant with a girl. And so of course we had already picked out the name Aria. And just my mom, of course, she had already loved her. I had already loved my baby. Texted my husband, texted my mother-in-law, texted everybody, we're having a girl. And my husband was like, no. Of course, he wanted a little boy, but he was like, my little princess and everything. And so I ended up having a girl, and my due date, they were telling me, was the 14th of November. So I backtracked to see when I conceived. Literally, it was like a week after I stopped taking my birth control, my baby was conceived. So I was like, oh my God, she was kind of like a Valentine's baby. And my mom's like, ew, you're so nasty, and just all of that. It was just like so funny. But I now have the most beautiful little baby girl ever. My mom, of course, loves her. My husband loves her, and our daughter just adores him. And just, honestly, I don't know why I kept the secret for so long, because I know my mom was going to, accept it no matter what. I was just so scared because I was going to disappoint her. I knew I was going to disappoint her, but I mean, in the end, it all worked out. I mean, we have a beautiful baby girl. She's about to be a year old next month. And just everything works out. Me and my husband are doing great. We moved to San Antonio with him because he didn't want me and the baby to be too far from him. He wanted to be able to see the baby every day. And even though it was hard on my mom, she was like, I can't keep you from your husband, and Arya needs to see her dad, and everything like that. So it all worked out in the end. And we just have, I'm happy with my life and where I'm at right now. And excuse my hair right now. Oh my goodness. This was kind of a spur of the moment video, but I will be uploading more videos. I want to say, because I'm new to the whole YouTube thing, I will try to upload videos at least once a week. I'm also going to be doing makeup tutorials, and mommy videos and all that. So if you want, like and subscribe, leave some comments down below, and thank you.